Brundlefly calling in from Texas. Brundlefly, you are live on Truth Wanted. What's going on?
Hey, Tracy. Hey, Dan. Thanks for taking my call. The topic tonight is astrology. There was a very interesting experiment done in the 60s in France. Do you know about this? Have you heard this?
Haven't heard about it, no.
Don't know if I do. Yeah, tell me about it.
Some debunkers ran an ad in a newspaper, and they said, if you will send us your time and location, your exact time of birth and the location, we will give you a free, professionally done astrological chart. And about, I think, as I recall, 60 or 70 people responded to this. And then they did a follow-up survey and asked how accurate was the chart for you. 90% said it was very accurate or perfectly accurate. 94% of their friends and relatives said it was very accurate. They then revealed that that was the professionally done horoscope of a serial killer. They all sent them the same horoscope.
Wow.
They all thought it fit them perfectly.
Jeez. Yeah, that's
Power of
pretty bad.
suggestion, man.
I'll tell you this. Wait, oh my God, I'm having a flashback here. I can't remember if I told this story or not. Like last week, I'm blanking out here. But I have a therapist. I love my therapist. She's really great. I've talked to her for a couple of years now. And recently, I was talking about my partner with her, and she asked me when she was born. And I realized it's because, she wanted to know like her sign. So my therapist is like completely non-woo, really great, but does like astrology. That's like the one thing she's into. Everybody has those things, I guess, whatever. And I don't know, she was asking about her sign and then like my sign. And, we were talking about my personalities. And she was like, oh, well, it's weird because it's weird that you guys are together like that or have that dynamic since like she's a Leo and you're a, Aquarius or whatever. And I don't know if it was because I was feeling especially snarky that day or what. And I was just like, yeah, it's just because it's probably because it's just bullshit, right? And like, I've known her for a really long time, so I think she took it in stride. But like, it felt kind of weird just calling out my therapist for astrology bullshit. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, it's definitely a really popular thing. That's a pretty interesting story. What do you think, Tracy?
I've always called astrology space racism because there doesn't that seems to be what it is. Yeah. Just grouping people together and assigning them qualities based off of some arbitrary thing because I decided that.
Yeah, like I get why people like MBTI or even like Enneagram because like at least those are kind of based off of observable patterns in a way, right? Like at least there's something going on. Like astrology just has just nothing. It's just absolutely made up. I don't know. Yeah, I've never been impressed by it. I've always been surprised that people are into it, and it's such a popular thing. I'll never get it. Never will. But I don't know. That was a interesting story, Brundlefly.
Here's the funny thing about astrology. When you look up in the night sky, do you see lions and crabs and bears? I don't. I see a collection of stars. Those patterns are just made up. We just looked at it and made up a thing. So, it's all one big sky. By the way, I had a wonderful therapist years ago who was brilliant and very helpful, but she was into collective consciousness and a lot of woo stuff. So we just stayed away from that. We just didn't, she was into the hundredth monkey parable,
Oh yeah. You should talk about that because I don't know if we've ever talked about that on the show.
Please talk about it.
We absolutely have, but you've had 1,000 guests on since then. Yes, in the 50s, a group of Japanese scientists were doing research on some of the islands there in the area, and they showed some of the macaques how to wash sweet potatoes, which made them more palatable. And then Lyle Watson, in his 1980 book Lifetime, reported that macaques on distant islands, once a certain number of these macaques learned how to do that, macaques on distant islands also learned how to do it. Well, that never happened, and he later admitted he made it up. And they've actually asked the scientists, the Japanese scientists who were there, no, we don't know anything about that. That never happened. But yet the hundredth monkey parable still gets widely reported as how all consciousness is collected. And you only have to scratch the surface on these things. From Roswell to, any weird report, you only have to look a little bit to figure out, oh, that's not real.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I don't know what people were doing before the internet. I'm gonna be honest with you, because it seems like you just heard something one time, like, and you just believe that forever. Like, oh, John Travolta is from Maine or something. Like, I could just say that at a family dinner table, and then that's something you believe for the rest of your life. And because who's gonna correct you? How do you know if that's wrong, right? I feel like that happens with a lot of things, not just silly stuff like that, but also maybe some bigger stuff. But astrology, I mean, like, there's so many grifters with it too. That's why I think I'm a little more anti, I guess, astrology, just because like there's so many people that are just in it just for the money, and the people. I mean, I've seen stuff. You'd be surprised how much people spend on these reports and stuff for themselves. I don't know. It just makes me feel gross on the inside. But I don't know. That's my thoughts. What do you think, Tracy?
Well, what you're talking about people before the internet, I don't really get it either. I mean, I get there were libraries, but not everybody had the time or the inclination to go to a library and like look up, okay, and would they even have the information you wanted is another question. I think that a big part of why people hold a lot of wacky beliefs is just a blanket accepting of those things which other people around them said. Like you said, if you grow up in a town and one day a gentleman comes in and he says that and he tells you that some things are such a way, and nobody there has a way to disbelieve him, and this guy's charismatic and he tells it to you with in a very convincing way, you're going to buy it. And then, well, that's a piece of information you have now, so you better make sure that gets passed on to your kid, and so on and so forth, and things get morphed over time and things don't make sense anymore. And that's how we get all these ridiculousness things like, the ape man or the skunk man of, the skunk ape, all the cryptids and whatnot. I'm confident just somebody saw a, squirrel with mange or whatever they saw at that time, came up with some sort of crackpot story. And then over time, it just gets weirder and weirder with a lot of them. And of course, not all of the stories.
Yep.
Every region has its cryptid story.
Yeah.
I just read a book, listened to a book last month, The United States of Cryptids. Every practically county has its local story of the puma man or the bear man or the alligator thing or whatever. But some of them some of them get picked up by media, and they grow legs. They continue to grow. Here in North Texas, when I was a kid, we had the goat man.
Oh, yeah. I know the goat man.
We've talked about goat man.
Is he featured in that ghost hunter show?
Yes.
Yes. I was scared of the goat man when I was a kid. That was a real fear for me. I'm serious. I was a Boy Scout. I went camping at Camp Tahoya. And Camp Tahoya, they tell the legend of the goat man. And I was just young enough to be impressionable enough to believe it, especially because I was really into like ghost hunter shows and stuff at the time. And oh man, that stuff I was all about it, but yeah, very, very fun stuff. Appreciate you calling in, Brundlefly. Anything else you want to add before we let you go?
I did want to add one thing. Roswell. I'm so fucking sick and tired of Roswell. Roswell is the most thoroughly investigated and thoroughly explained of all the UFO incidents. The remains they found were plastic and balsa wood and tape. Would you build a starship out of that?
Well, if it was all I got, maybe. I'd certainly try my best. But yeah, I don't think sophisticated aliens were doing that kind of stuff at Roswell. I have been to the Roswell Museum, interestingly enough, and they definitely try to take it as seriously as possible there. But I don't know, what were you going to say, Tracy?
Well, the problem is we're looking at this from a finite perspective. These are, aliens from another galaxy. We don't know what they are capable of making out of plastic and balsa wood and tape.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, you know what? Tracy's onto something here. Yeah. He might. Are you an alien, dude? Are you actually from? Okay, never mind.
Me?
Oh, we're not gonna go there.
No,
that's fine.
Brundlefly is. It's not me.
I would believe it. I would believe that Brundlefly could be an alien and is just like absolutely punking us out and making us think otherwise. That could be real. But Anyway, Brundlefly, thanks so much.
Damn it.
Yeah, I
Thanks
hope
for taking
not.
my call, guys.
Yeah, thanks for calling in. Have a great rest of your weekend. Yeah, that story. I guess he said we talked about it before. I don't remember. He probably he
I
might
had
have
heard
called
of it
in the past
recently.
talking about it. Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of those kinds of stories in science of just
I really check everything. Not like you really do.
mhm. A lot of mythos, about how stuff happened. So much misinformation about Galileo, for example, or like Isaac Newton and stuff. I don't know. We just kind of thrive off those myths, I guess. Even in like stuff that's supposed to be, well regarded and highly sophisticated and researched, there's still just a lot of bullshit that comes out of there all the time.
There is definitely.